All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to our Committee of the Whole meeting for Monday, March 27th. It is a few minutes after 6:30. We're getting started. So what we're going to do is we actually have the MACP accreditation presentation at 7 o'clock to allow, we have some folks from MACP coming from outside the area, so they'll be here at 7 o'clock. So we're going to flop that to that time. So what we'll do is we'll discuss consent agenda items now. We have a number of resolutions here. I know there's probably some questions on the MDOT performance resolution. I'll turn to our city managers for that. I'll give some background on the charitable gaming foundation request, and then a little background on the alternate ZBA. But we will start with the, let's talk the resolutions first, and we'll bring Chief Pelton up at that point. He's got some updates as well. So,
I'll talk about the MDOT one then?
Yes, please.
This is just a standard resolution from MDOT that gives us the ability, or our departments at the city, the ability to apply for different permits through MDOT, through highway permits, to have parades and those types of things. So just a standard, I think every 3 years or so we are required to do a resolution, and then we do an annual permit every year that's typically done either through police department and or engineering. So this is just a refreshing of that resolution for MDOT. And you can see the names on there. It titles the City Engineer, Public Works Director, and then Police Administration and Sergeant the ability to apply for those permits annually for things that happen in MDOT's right away.
Commissioners, questions on the MDOT resolution for this evening? All right, seeing none. Next is the request for the Arlos Mediocre Hearts Foundation. This basically, we have done these, although it's been quite a few years since we've done one of these. What the state of Michigan, the Charitable Gaming Division, asks for is if you have a foundation that is registered within your city limits, when they apply for a charitable gaming license or permit to hold a Las Vegas night, anything, something like that, that requires that gaming license, it requires from the local municipality a resolution approving, recognizing them as a legitimate foundation. And you can see in your packet all the federal, state paperwork supporting that. I would say too that this is the member, one of the founding two parents from this actually is well known to the city, is involved in some things here. So it's something she had approached us about, asking could we get some help with this, and I think it's been 3-4 years since we've done one of these, but it's basically just all it is we're not approving anything other than recognizing them as a legitimate 501c3 nonprofit.
Is this a one-time resolution? We do this one time, and they're enabled to do this moving forward.
For this specific gaming license and that license only.
Got it. So if they wanted to do this again next year, there would be
yes, let's say a Las Vegas night next year, the same time, we have to go through that same process.
Appreciate that.
Yep. Good question. Coming around, questions? Okay. All right, and then third one is an alternate to the ZBA. ZBA went through a training the other night with our city attorney, with Jeff Sluggett. Frank, thanks for organizing that. Long overdue, just a really good refresher on the nuances with Zoning Board of Appeals and what their roles and responsibilities are. And understand, Commissioner, it went for a little while. It was good into the weeds. So, yep. So that being said, at that point, Rose Koegge, who had been an alternate to the ZBA, did come. She is interested in reserving. So this is basically reappointing her. Her term had expired in January. Was not certain if she's going to continue on, and she has decided she'd like to continue on as an alternate. She's actually got some background in Delphine Township in zoning and planning, so I'm very comfortable with that request to all of you for the reappointment for her. So any questions on that one? No. Okay, I think that is it, Chief. If you want to give us the background, and as you're coming up, I know that most were able to make it, but not all from the group up here. Great job this afternoon taking us through this, and I know you're going to bring us home to the hours with some pictures we don't really want to look at right now, but we're going to do it anyway.
This is all good. There.
This is all good. This is basically a refresh. We have a local support plan. The state's required us to use the new format moving forward. We did this with our local planning committee, which serves as an advisory committee to develop, adopt, and evaluate plans. We did an exercise today to see how this plan goes in place and actually see it in motion, which is part of their evaluation of the exercises. It's based off the State of Michigan Emergency Management Plan for local jurisdictions. It's also part of the FEMA framework moving forward. So what is it? It's basically an outline of roles and responsibilities identified by the state and the federal government of how we handle emergencies locally. Identifies coordination with the Kent County for tasks that we can't accomplish in the different annexes. So say mass care. We don't have the resources to handle mass casualties or mass care for our citizens, so we coordinate with the Kent County to have Department of Health and Human Services take over that function for us. It establishes teams to cover emergency functions to reduce the potential hazards for our events in Walker. It applies to all hazards. We talked about a flood today. It could be the ice storms, the blizzard, whatever, civil unrest. There's identified hazards through the Kent County Emergency Management Plan that could affect us here in Walker. It follows the National Response Framework identified Presidential Directive number 5 of having interoperability, not just for the Walker community, but as we span out through the county, the region, and the state. Also creates a path for assistance to the Kent County and the declaration for a state of emergency to get resources from the state and federal government. And this plan includes 9 annexes, which are identified by the state of having functions that need to be performed in the sense of an emergency. We cover most of these that are identified in the functions as far as fire services, DPW services, public safety, damage assessment. We coordinate with the early warning systems with Kent County because they have the access to turn on our outdoor sirens. They have the pause so they can go out for the cell phone activations, put those notifications out there. We handle our own public information through our public information manager of sending out that message that we pre-event like we did for the blizzards around the holidays, and having that pre-notification gets us to preempt emergencies to prepare our residents for what's happening. As far as the mass care, those are functions we can't currently do as a city because of our size. We identify those and coordinate that in the plan. The county will take over those resources or the state. So in a nutshell, the plan you have before you is basically the updated plan following the format with the state. They've updated our annexes to make those clearly defined as what your basic roles and responsibilities. There's some like warning and communications do kind of cross-breed a little bit as far as which annex is supposed to be covered for what, but for the most part, the warning is the warning of the public. That's done through the county, the communication systems, that's done by our agencies, and the public information is what we put out to the public for information to guide them on how to handle themselves or what's closed or where do you find resources to get help in the emergency. Any questions?
Just a couple of comments. First of all, Chief, thank you for putting that together today. I thought it was a great exercise. I think the prep work we did to prepare for it and then your execution of it today was really, really superb, so thank you. And all to the rest of the team as well. Lots of great comments were made. For those who weren't there, it's just a reminder that we really have our department heads throughout the city staff who are running the EOC, making sure we have the right resources. We're getting the right resources to the teams we designate to go out there and look after whatever disaster problem it is, being a down power line or scores of down power lines, flooding in areas. So we've got teams out there looking around the city, working. We've got an EOC that's trying to oversee that. And then the policy body is really us. Initially it's the mayor, but it starts to become us over the course of the length of the emergency. And then it's really about us making sure that we're prioritizing properly telling our citizens what's going on, properly giving them advice or recommending that they do this, they don't do that, those sorts of things. We're taking care of those who are most at risk. We talked quite a bit about that today, and responding to them in ways that we might not otherwise because we know that they're in a wheelchair or whatever other things we might know, so that we're doing our best to look out for the for the safety of our citizens throughout the course of the emergency. And it's easy to say safety is first, but safety can be a hard thing sometimes. Like if you, for example, you decide to close a major bridge for safety reasons, and you just isolated 2 neighborhoods, and they can't get out. I mean, there are trade-offs even in the safety discussion. So part of our job is to back up the EOC with the public face, and also to provide what guidance we want to give them regarding some of those safety risks, because there's always risk somewhere in most cases. And our job would be to start sorting through those and prioritizing those things. So I thought it was great, Chief. I really appreciated it today.
Thank you.
I'll say the same thing that Commissioner Burke did. I really appreciate that exercise. I thought that was great. As executing the process, communicating, using the media to communicate to the public, making sure that safety is in place for the residents and everybody that's involved within the situation. And then after everything calms down, getting together in a follow-up meeting to have lessons learned and make sure that what can we do better? What can we change that, recognize what went well and recognize what did not go as well, and what can we do to fix those? Thank you for that exercise.
Thank you.
Just a comment, I just want to thank the chief also for the exercise previous to this meeting. I think it really went well, a lot of good information, a lot of good feedback, and appreciate the county's assistance with that as well. I think that gives us such reassurance at the county level that we have that support there and above going on that from that if we should need that. As far as process for this plan itself that you have before you tonight, this was recommended for approval by the Emergency Management Subcommittee at their last meeting. So the revisions, after we met a couple meetings and refined all the information. So as far as process, we're looking for approval tonight on that.
Sorry, Mayor, I touched on it, but I wasn't very clear. We not only have been planning for this exercise, we've been working through the latest plan over the last several months. We've had several meetings, and I think it is now in a position that it lays out the duties and responsibilities of the various committees. I outlined a few of those, our communications plan, and how we would call in extra support as a city. So that plan has now gone through several iterations. I looked at it again today, and I think it is in line with what we're looking for. There might be some tweaks coming down from what we learned in our after action from today's exercise, but I think it's ready to go, so I'll be ready to support it.
Just from the newbie on the team, I question, how often do commissioners get phone calls during something like that? So how prepared do we need to be? I didn't get a whole lot from my seat because I wasn't up here in the group. How do I get that information? How do I make sure I'm saying the right thing? Newbie question.
I know Commissioner Gilbert's waiting
I do have thoughts.
waiting to chime in. You have the floor.
Yeah, I think it's going to vary for each person how much people reach out to you, right? Like how long you've been serving, how many issues you've dealt with different members of the community, right? I have a lot of family in my part of the city. I've lived there forever. I deal with far too many of them on far too much stuff unrelated to this. So whenever anything happens, if the city makes a policy decision totally unrelated to anything that we do, I hear about it a lot. So I think it's different for everybody. And as far as making sure that you're saying the right things, I think a lot of that flows through the mayor, and it flows through Nicole as the communications director to equip us with the things that we need to distribute and tell people. And then there's that other silo of information that we just need to know and be aware of, right? There's the awareness side, and then there's the public communication side. There's things that we need to be aware of as elected officials who have a duty as leaders within the city. And then there's parts of it that this is information that the public needs to know. So I think that in real time, they do a much better job of distinguishing that, because, and I think there's an intuitive part of it too, right? not everybody needs to know about some of the operational decisions that are going on, right? Which group of personnel we're sending to which issue, but there are parts of it that if a road shut down, people need to know that. So it's clearer at the time, I think, more often than not. But as far as how much you're going to hear from folks, it may be very little. There have been times for me where it's been very little, but sometimes it's a lot, and it just really varies.
You know, I think building on that, one of the tools that we have now, while we sometimes might look at it as a liability because of the nature of sometimes how social media can be, that is a tremendous tool that we did not have years ago. And really it has become that main communication tool for a timely type of basis. So part of going through the exercise that we did, you know, when we have the policy making discussion of the elected officials is there's two commissioners on, one with a decades of experience from crisis management on albeit on a ship. It's very, very applicable and very appreciated that we have those resources there. You have your mayor pro tem should something happen to the mayor. So you have those two logical. So part of where I may ask if I can't get to all the commissioners, depending on the situation, is asking them to help out with that contact, reaching out, because at that point things usually have gone to heck in a handbasket. I think back to the polar vortex, and the big thing for us was losing our backup generator at that point in time to the city. We got through that. It got resolved very quickly, but that could have been a very challenging time for us. If I'm not mistaken, I think pretty much the whole city was without power at that point in time. We were both out of town, conveniently, but nonetheless, we ended up getting through that. But I think the comments made by the county at the end today were what we have in place for our department leaders, our chiefs. We're in a better spot than most. You know, so that's so I think that communication piece is going to be leveraging the social media. Commissioners will be kept up to date as much as humanly possible. Not waiting for any press updates or things like that. There's obviously more because we have 25,153 people that we all represent that are going to be asking questions. Some families, some not, some friends, some not, and we have a job we have to do. So if you have information and know what's going on, you can do your job. We can do our job. So, any other discussions on that? Questions for Chief? All right. Seeing none, nothing else on the agenda for this evening. I'll go to managers and commissioner comments in just a second here. All right. I'll start to the right this time. Madam Clerk, anything from your perspective?
Yeah, just two things. The first batch of absentee ballots did go out last week. So voters, again, this is only for voters in Comstock Park and Granville school districts. So if, again, anybody in Kennewick Hills asking where their ballot is, they don't have anything to vote on this time around. And then last week I was able to attend the Michigan Association of Municipal Clerks Institute. It's a 3-year certification program. So just a lot of meeting clerks, not only, you know, in our area, but also around the state of Michigan, of, you know, municipalities of every size. So it was really cool to talk to and to meet a lot of new people, a lot of people that I can reach out to with questions and that sort of thing. So, and listening to stories that are going on in their communities is always interesting. There was a lot of talk about Proposal 22-2 that passed in November, a lot of stuff having to do with elections. Right now, we don't have any implementation plans. So that should all be coming down from the state Board of Elections. They're saying hopefully by summer. So that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Gilbert?
I was on vacation last week, so I'm all set.
Thank you for not rubbing it in. Commissioner Babcock?
Something. Just a reminder, Parks and Rec has asked us to lead a park cleanup night, evening, weekend day. So either contact me or Aaron if you have any questions about setting that up. And then Saturday is the Easter egg drop. So hopefully we can all partake in that.
Thank you. Commissioner Groders?
I was able to attend the dispatch tour last Monday, which was very informative. I feel really confident with were I to have an issue, they all definitely work together very well, and I feel like I would get the help that I needed right away. It did remind, this particular exercise here did, even though I wasn't able to attend, reminded me of, I was in the administrator's office, Kent County Administrator's Office in 2013 during the flood. And now as talking about the availability of social media, what a difference that will make, because my phone just rang constantly, and you know, I was back and forth with Jack Stewart, the emergency manager, and you know, I just sort of established a list of resources, and a lot of people were calling for sandbags, and it's like, well, I heard you can get them here, you might be able to get them there. But I can see now, especially after being at the dispatch and knowing that this is in place and the resources that we have, I think would be much more prepared for, you know, a catastrophic flood like 2013 was.
Awesome, thank you. Commissioner Chase?
Yeah, I greatly appreciated doing the dispatch tour. It was great to learn about everything and see how much work each one of those dispatchers do there. Again, as Mayor Carey mentioned, we had ZBA training on Wednesday night. It was good to get the group back together. We don't get together very often as there's not very many appeals that come through. And then I will be out of town this weekend for the Easter egg hunt.
All right. Commissioner DeShane, can I have your chocolate then? You got the floor, Commissioner.
All right. I did reach out to Erin from Parks and Rec, and I gave her some ideas and some thoughts, thinking maybe we should talk about doing some media blast, and maybe we can come up with an annual date or a weekend where it's clean your park, and maybe get a proclamation or something like that. I have some ideas on that. I sent her some ideas as well. And then I too attended the dispatch tour. That was very eye-opening. It's just amazing. Just the touch points that they have with the community. It's crazy. And I will be attending the Easter egg hunt, and I will try not to steal any chocolate from children. So, can't promise you though. That's all I have.
Thank you. Commissioner Burke?
Yes, Easter eggs, be there Saturday. Dispatch tour was very good as well. I've already used the number, not an emergency number, but armed with new information, I called dispatch yesterday about an issue that a constituent had. So already putting that new power of knowledge to work. The emergency response drill we did today was great. It reminds me of the scouts in the room. My youngest is an Eagle Scout. I used to teach canoeing, fly fishing, and emergency preparedness. So all you get your emergency preparedness merit badges. I don't think I'm qualified to teach it anymore, but we may need you in a crisis. That's it. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you. Mr. Walsh?
I can't top that. Nothing for me tonight.
Mr. Schmalzel?
Just a couple things. The LOCC will be meeting this Wednesday at 4 o'clock, so we'll report back after that meeting to the commission. Also looking at setting up the next Finance Committee meeting. Dan will have some of the budget amendments ready, so we're looking at potentially the week of April 10th. If April 10th does work, which we have a meeting that night for the Finance Committee, we'd prefer to, if it works better, good for the Finance Committee members, we could meet prior to the meeting. We probably only need about an hour, so if that works in the schedule. Otherwise, anytime that week, we should be ready for the next Finance meeting. And then lastly, tomorrow afternoon, the Right Place is holding a virtual conference called Economic Development 101 for elected officials. I don't know if any of you have signed up on that for that or not. But anyways, I'm going to be a guest speaker on there, and I'm going to be talking about economic development. There's like a 5-minute interview, but we're going to be telling a story of Speed Rack and how they kind of came to the city and all the parts and pieces that go into an economic development project like that. So there's a whole agenda. It's only a short hour and a half, but my snippet's about 5 minutes at the end. So, but good plug for business in the city. So that's it.
Good stuff. Commissioners on the Finance Committee, before we leave that are on the Finance, we can just let our city manager know availability for that week, maybe that Monday night before.
That Monday night, there is a ordinance committee meeting already scheduled, so.
How dare they? Yeah, yeah, Mr. Chair.
Maybe finance takes precedence over, can we move your ordinance committee? Is that all right?
Fine by me.
Okay.
I'd like to see this arm wrestling
time is
match
that,
between
Devin?
you and Frank right now.
4 o'clock? Oh, we only need about an hour for finance, so if we want to do it like right before, not that I don't want to stack 2 meetings back to back, but,
That doesn't bother me. I think I'm the only overlap member.
I mean, we could do finance at 5 if that works, and then you could get them both knocked off.
And if you're running over, we'll pick up when you're there, so.
Yeah, finance should take probably an hour or less, so.
Okay.
it's kinda-
At
Yeah,
5.
might as well get them done. Thank you.
Bringing us home, last couple of quick minutes here. Visited Transit Work Appreciation Day, obviously chairing the board for the Rapid, but just representing Walker, giving thanks to our drivers on St. Patrick's Day. Also that afternoon, I went with Senator Huizenga to Congresswoman Skolten's office to make a plea for or some additional federal support for our Fallen Warriors Memorial that we'll be hearing more about in the coming weeks and months as the Capitol campaign for that kicks off. That whole thing will be coming back towards the commission at that point. So it was good for us to have the Walker representation, and the Congresswoman had made a comment on when she drives to Mesquite and how much it's changed in our industrial corridor, was giving us a lot of shout out for the welcoming from the city. Also in that same vein, Senator Huizenga, Representative Glanville, were at the Grand Rapids Chamber breakfast with legislators. That following Monday on the 20th, they did a great job again representing Walker. Just kind of cool to see our 2 elected officials that represented us at the state level, both from the city and from this dais up here. Dispatch Center, shout out to the county for hosting us. On the 21st, I actually attended the Grand Rapids State of the City, and a lot of good things going on there, and looking forward to being able to build off of that for ours on April 17th. And then last thing I had was, there's a lot of books being read for March's Reading Month. I counted last week, I think I had 18 classrooms I hit. So there's a thing called a day job to kind of juggle all the stuff going on, but what a great month to be doing this. So last few classrooms tomorrow morning at Zinzer. So that being said, we have a full house. Welcome all. I will officially call our regular city commission meeting to order for Monday, March 27th. I have the invocation this evening, and then we'll come to the Pledge of Allegiance in a moment. If you'd all please join me in bowing your heads. Heavenly Father, we thank you this evening and always for having this privilege of serving our city. We pray that as we discuss our agenda and set policies for our city, we will always put the people's interest above our own. Remind us, Father, that we are in this position not to be served, but to serve the public. We humbly ask your blessing on those who have made that decision to serve, especially our military, fire, and police. Many are here tonight and will go into harm's way to uphold what is right and just. We give thanks for the blessings you have bestowed upon us. In your great name, amen. And I would like something different at the chair's discretion, please. I'm going to invite troop members from Troop 304 up to the front. They're actually going to lead us in Pledge of Allegiance. So I'd like to invite the room to please stand. All right, Justin, if you spread them out right there. Once we have everybody set. Justin, you may lead us when you're ready. Thank you, troop members, and again, welcome this evening. Commissioners, thank you for indulging me. If I could please ask our clerk to call the roll.
Mayor Carey,
Present.
Commissioner Gilbert,
Present.
Commissioner Babcock, Commissioner Groders,
Present?
Commissioner Chase,
Present.
Commissioner DeShane,
Present?
Commissioner Burke.
Present.
All right, we are good to go. We're actually, before we jump into item 6 and the approval of the minutes, we have a lot of our police department and obviously one member who we thought we changed the lock on that still found his way into the commission chambers. So I'd like to invite Chief Mankel up and then Bob Stevenson from Michigan Association of Chiefs of Police to share the presentation on our incredible honor for our police department's accreditation.
Evening, Mr. Mayor and city officials, commissioners, and most importantly, the community that might be listening in tonight. My name is Bob Stevenson, and I'm currently the Executive Director with the Michigan Association of Chiefs of Police. I've been proud to hold this position for the last 11 years. Prior to that, I spent 37 years in law enforcement, the last 7 with the city of Livonia, which is over in the southeast corner of the state of Michigan. So I'm here tonight representing the Michigan Law Enforcement Accreditation Commission to award the certificate to the Walker Police Department. You probably know that you've had and have a good police department, but I'm here to tell you since going through the accreditation process, they've elevated their game. I get the opportunity to go all around the state and see various police departments, and I can tell you your police agency has an excellent reputation. To put a little bit of context into what they've achieved, in the state of Michigan, there's just slightly less than 600 police agencies. Of those police agencies, about 400 are municipal police agencies, 83 of them are county sheriffs, and the remainder are hospitals and tribal police and educational police departments. Of those, some 600 police departments in the state of Michigan, yours is the 54th police agency to earn accreditation. Or to put that in a different context, your police department has achieved what over 90% of the other police agencies in the state of Michigan are yet to achieve. It's a significant professional accomplishment. I think it's no secret that over the last few years, law enforcement has come under criticism and under the gun. There's been a lot of calls for so-called police reform. But I'm here to tell you and also your citizens that every single one of the police reforms that have been called for around the country, your department has already achieved. Every single one of those. And most importantly, they achieved those before the calls for the so-called police reforms was started. And also this is voluntary. Nobody told your police department that they had to do this. Your police department undertook this of their own volition. And that also, as you can tell by just the numbers that haven't yet accomplishment, it's a lot of work and a big feather in the cap of the police department. So just a little bit about the process. I think everybody's aware of accreditation, so to speak. You go to accredited hospital, laboratories are accredited, and educational facilities are also accredited. And basically what that process is, the Michigan Law Enforcement Accreditation Commission set 108 standards of best practices, if you will, in the state of Michigan and also from around the country. But to say there's 108 standards that they had to achieve doesn't really tell the whole story, because couched within that 108 standards are some 450 tasks that they must accomplish. So there's a lot of work that goes into that. Once the department has gone through their policies and procedures and done the training and such, then what happens is 2 assessors from outside this area, police professionals, come in at bequest of the Law Enforcement Accreditation Commission, and they go through your police department, and your police department has to demonstrate that not only are they following the policies and procedures that they put into place, but they must approve every one of those 450 some substandards. It's a lot of work, and again, they did it voluntarily. So we're here tonight to award this, but their work's not done, because now that they've achieved accreditation, that's a promise, if you will, made. Now comes a promise kept, and that is for the next 3 years, they've got the standards that they still have to maintain, and we'll be back with 2 assessors 3 years from now, and they'll go through the same procedure, and they'll have to go through and demonstrate procedures for every single one of the in-between years. Again, I'm extremely proud of the Walker Police Department. I wish and look forward to the day that all police agencies in the state of Michigan have accomplished that, but right now we have the leaders that are stepping out front and doing that. So, and I also would be remiss if I didn't thank you, the city officials, for the support that I'm sure you've given your police department if you've gone through this process. Shockingly, not every elected body around the state is willing to put forth the support to their police agencies so that they can go through this. So I do want to thank you, all the city officials, for supporting your police agency as they've gone through this. So with that, Chief Mankel, if you would, you'd step up, please. So to all who see this certificate, know that the Walker Police Department have voluntarily complied with the standards established by the Michigan Law Enforcement Accreditation Commission deemed essential for the delivery of professional police services and the protection of their community is hereby awarded the Certificate of Accreditation effective the first day of March in the year 2023 for a term of 3 years. Chief, congratulations. All yours.
Yeah, great achievement. So, as many of you know, this thing started back in 2018, May 1st, with Chief Greg Long. So, he's the one who brought this idea to us. We just followed through with it. In July 1st, 2022 is when we applied for accreditation. If you remember, that was right when he was retiring. So he's the one who kind of made us take that next step after we did that. So 4 years of hard work. So we're finally there. Very proud of this. A lot of people to thank. Retired Chief Greg Long, Deputy Chief retired Jason Howe, retired Sergeant Troy Myers was on the original team, Captain Brandon Hugo, Captain Andy Veen, Sergeant Bert Elliott, Sergeant Andrew Geltema, Steve Koziera, and Barb Haynes. That was our original team that put this all together, who worked on this most, but it really was a team effort from the whole department to get all these proofs in, to make sure we're doing the right things and to get this award. So we thank everybody for it. It's hard work, and we're going to keep moving forward and for the next 3 years. So thank you.
Awesome. Well done. Thank you. Chief Long, I've never seen a microphone that you have ever missed. Are you sure you have no comments?
It's all out of my system now, Mayor. No, I think,
I knew it. Thank you. For the room, I called this one. I'm just letting you all know. Thank you.
No. This is the heavy load right here, and all those that are still wearing a uniform. I came back to the department with an idea that we had back in 2017-18. Just said, hey, I got a great idea. You guys ready to work? This guy right here said, let's go. And we
Love
put
it.
this team together, and I'm extremely proud. And as Bob said, you know, our agency's always been known to have the best, highest integrity, best reputation around. This just reaffirms that.
Yep.
And the processes that they went through in the time it took, and it's a heavy load, but very super proud of this department. We have a great department. You have a great department. Absolutely.
Thank you. All right.
You want to get a picture with us real quick? Just real.
You don't need my picture. We need your picture. We need the
We'll get
workers.
it.
Thank you.
All right. Well, Chief Stevenson, thank you for joining us again. Appreciate.
This is the pleasure of the job, to go around and tell a police commission and such, or a city council, what a great police department is. Just an honor. So great
Well, I
job.
think, if I'm not mistaken, the percentage nationally is pretty much in line with what the state percentage is
It is.
from accreditation. So when you talk about elite accreditation, we're in that group now because of all of you. So well done.
Rarefied air.
All right. Thank you. All right. All quiet. Okay. Next on the list is public comment on any agenda items. Agenda items only. Any public comment? Yes. Oh, thank you. We'll go approval of the minutes first. Is there any discussion on the minutes approval from March 13, 2023 from the City Commission meeting minutes? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion for approval and support, please.
I'll make a motion.
Support.
DeShane, Commissioner Groders. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Thank you. Now we'll do public comment on agenda items and agenda items only. If there's anyone wishing to speak on agenda items. Seeing none, consent agenda, we have 2 items. We'll take these in one approval. First is the expenditures in the amount of $308,717.67. The second is the approval of the Walker Local Support Emergency Operations Plan, which we had a presentation on this afternoon on a scenario planning. And then Chief Pelton just shared some updates with this and some background for your approval. Is there any discussion on either item? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion for approval and support for both items, please.
Mayor, a motion to approve the bills and the new EOP.
Thank you, Commissioner Burke. Do you have a second?
Support.
Commissioner Chase. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? All right, consent agenda is passed. First on the list for resolutions, Resolution 23-663 is the Michigan Department of Transportation Performance Resolution for Municipalities. We received a briefing on this at our 6:30 Committee of the Whole meeting. Is there any discussion, further discussion on said resolution? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion for approval and support, please.
I'll make a motion.
I'll support. Oh, go ahead.
Commissioner Chase, Commissioner DeShane, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Thank you. Resolution 23-664 is to recognize Arlo's Mediocre Hearts Foundation as a nonprofit organization to obtain a charitable gaming license. We discussed that at our Committee of the Whole meeting. It's actually, I think I'd shared the background in that, or I did not share the background in that charity, is the applicant's son was born with a heart defect. That continues to work through. So it's a pretty cool story. So if there's no questions on said resolution, I'll entertain a motion for approval and support, please.
So moved.
Support.
Commissioner Groders, Commissioner Babcock, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Thank you. Resolution 23-664 is passed. Next is Resolution 23-665 to reappoint Rose Koegge as an alternate to the Zoning Board of Appeals. Gave a little background on that at the 6:30 Committee of the Whole meeting as well. If there's no discussion on that, I'll entertain a motion for approval and support, please.
I'll make a motion.
Commissioner Chase,
I'll support.
Commissioner DeShane, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? We are good. Next is other public comment on agenda or non-agenda items. Seeing none. Next is, I'll go one more around the horn quick. Commissioner and City Manager comments coming around. And for the Boy Scouts, on my phone it says 7:15. What time did I say? Thank you. All right. I'll entertain a motion for adjournment and support, please.
So moved.
Commissioner Gilbert? Don't make me late on this. It's 7:15. Thank you, Commissioner Burke. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? We stand adjourned. Thank